to today?
We are on the edge of the Lincolnshire Fens and we are doing a walk today in Sempringham Priory with our two dogs, Clive and Rosie. Probably about a 3 to 4 mile walk. Come in then.
So hopefully you saw us park up in the village of Poynton actually, and we walked towards the footpaths that lead us onto this walk from the flat lands of the Lincolnshire Fens to where the ground is a little bit more hilly in nature. And the purpose of the walk today is really to come up and see the church of Sempringham's church. And Sempringham is a village that lies slightly to the northeast of us now, and the church is sort of isolated and it looks like it's in the middle of a field. What on earth's a church doing in the middle of a field? But this field it looks now very peaceful and very quiet, and is doing what lots of fields in Lincolnshire do, and that's provide us with all the wonderful food and stuff that we need. But it hasn't always been the case. So we're going to St Andrew's Church, which is basically next to a site which was Sempringham Priory. Sempringham Priory was the only monastic order that was founded purely English. So it is the only purely English monastic order founded by St Gilbertine, or St Gilbert. It was called the Gilbertines, founded by St Gilbert in the 11th century. So it's also the final resting place, and if you like, the place of imprisonment or house arrest of a Welsh princess, a heir to the Welsh throne, who was imprisoned by Edward I in order to keep her from trying to claim the Welsh throne. But she was captured at birth, or practically when she was in a cradle, and brought to Sempringham Priory by Edward I and placed, for want of a better word, under house arrest. So jumping ahead of the story a little bit here, because we're going to look at this monument to Princess Gwenllian, the heir to the Welsh throne. And in 1283, Edward I had conquered, or attempted to conquer, Wales. In fact, he was successful in conquering Wales. And Gwenllian was snatched from her cradle, or snatched at cradle as a very young child. And because she was the heir to the throne, the natural heir to the throne, Edward I brought her here to Sempringham Priory, where he would be able to keep an eye on her, basically, and make sure that she didn't do anything daft like try to reclaim the Welsh throne. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule there. We haven't actually looked at the priory yet and where that was. We'll get to have a look at that in a few moments. So hopefully there were some shots there of the monument to Princess Gwenllian, the Welsh heir to the throne, daughter of Llewellyn, and I think granddaughter of Simon de Montfort. So in 1283, Edward I went to Wales with the purpose of capturing Wales for his own good, for his own bounty, and he came across a very small bundle of clothes in a cradle. It turned out to be Princess Gwenllian. So even for somebody with a dodgy history such as Edward I, the murder of a princess would have been unpalatable. So instead of doing her in, he took her up and brought her here to Lincolnshire, where she spent the rest of her 54 years, not necessarily in prison, but she was at a guest of Sempringham Priory. So Edward believed that he could bring her here, out the way, lots of miles from Wales, and she would just live her life out quietly in the monastic order. She didn't actually ever take the veil, she never became a nun. However, Edward did grant her a £20 a year allowance for her board and keep, so she was a paying guest of the priory. But a little bit of Welsh history in the corner of Lincolnshire, who would have believed it? So coming into view now, the Church of St Andrew, Sempringham, 11th century, dates back, or parts of it date back to the 11th century, but it was next to, you'll see in a moment, the actual site of Sempringham Priory. But this is the church. It was obviously a very important part of that, or parts of it, the older parts of it, were obviously a very important part of that process. So it is isolated. It's probably, I don't know, a good mile and a half, maybe more than that, from the village of Sempringham itself. And we've just been walking now for about 20 minutes from the village of Poynton. So quite a fine, in its own right, it's quite a fine church. We're going to have a quick look around it now and hopefully get you some shots from above.
Mike's flying the drone. So we're patiently waiting for him. Taking a while because as he decided to fly, the drone wanted to do an update. Always the way. Yo.
So there we are, St Andrew's Church behind us, and I hope you had some good aerial shots there from the drone. Not a great day today, it's a little overcast. We've had obviously some very good weather over the bank holiday weekend and preceding the bank holiday weekend, but today's a little bit cool and overcast, so it's quite nice walking. According to the weather app that I use, it is perfect humidity today. So we're walking away from St Andrews and we're walking up another hill towards the sunken medieval, towards the hamlet of Birthorpe. So medieval sunken village, as it's called. So you conjures up pictures of, or conjures up images of being lost at sea or sunken in the peat and the mud of this part of Lincolnshire. We're actually not on the fens now, we've climbed considerably above that flat landscape, but it's nothing to do with a village disappearing into the sea or into the mud. It is a historic reference or historic term given to a village that was once of great importance, or of certainly of significant importance, but is no longer of importance or such great importance. So how did that all come about then? Well, this area, obviously, with the priory being established, and when St Gilbert died in 1283, he was later beatified by, I think that's how you say it, beatified by the Bishop of Lincoln, because apparently there was miracles happening at his graveside. So he became a saint, St Gilbert, and obviously the area, from being a centre or an area of agriculture, as it has returned to today, it became a very popular destination for merchants, travellers, and of course people making religious pilgrimages. So the area enjoyed very much of an uptick in its popularity and riches, and one of the characters involved with that was Simon de it's a very difficult village to say. It's a very simple one, Birthorpe. Simon de Birthorpe. So he was in favour with the king, but fell out of favour with the king and was banished to the English controlled land of Ireland. But he had a comeback, a bit like politicians do today. He had a bit of a renaissance and a bit of a comeback, and he became what was then the Lord Chancellor of Ireland. So this is the hamlet of Birthorpe. We're just going to turn away from that now. There we go, just a smattering of houses now.
You just need to admire that row of trees, how beautiful that is. Just admiring these beautiful row with horse chestnut trees.
Yeah,
absolutely gorgeous.
An avenue of horse chestnuts. They look like they've been either not that old or they have been pollarded at some point, but I don't know, do people pollard horse chestnuts? But lots of what we call candles, and folklore has it that if the candles are out and they're bright and there's lots of them, that we're going to have a good summer.
Shame there weren't a little bench though, we could have sat and had our flask of tea.
We have got a flask of tea with us, and we're going to have one a little bit further on. So we're on the road out of Birthorpe. I say road, it's not really a road, is it? It's just more of a glorified track, but and this beautiful row of horse chestnuts. And the horse, the other saying that comes to mind, and we've seen plenty of oaks in leaf, the oak before the ash, and we'll have a dash when we talk about summer rain, but the ash before the oak, and we're going to get a soak. So we've clearly seen evidence of the candles on the horse chestnuts and the oak being in leaf before the ash. So all things being equal, we should have a good summer. So we've turned east again, and we're heading back down the road this time towards, in the direction of St Andrew's Church, but we're going to go slightly to the south of that, or to the east, southeast of that in a second, and just admiring how high up we are here. What we're looking down on there is where this high ground, this rising ground, meets the Lincolnshire Fens. And so this is my actual favourite part of the walk. As if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I like an old road or an abandoned road or an interesting road. And this one certainly isn't a road, it's a restricted byway, but it is almost certainly a medieval trackway that led down to the Abbey. So I can only imagine the number of people that have walked, and the type of people and who they were and what they were up to and where they were going back in medieval times, walking down this road or track. Now I believe it's called Primstone Road or Lane. Primstone Lane, thank you. Yeah, so Primstone Lane, a very ancient and medieval trackway, but no, it's a restricted byway. I'm not quite sure what a restricted byway means, and as opposed to a byway, but it certainly looks like there's grooves where vehicles have been down. Maybe, yeah, access to the fields, but lots of midges around today, lots of little flies and midges around. So it's not particularly warm, but it's
in the summer you got flies,
yeah,
in the winter it's mud.
yeah, exactly. Can't come up. That's it. We are restricted sometimes around the fens where we can go for walks because of the mud in the winter, but this time of year not such a problem. So we're just going to stop down here for a cup of tea with a flask.
I was just going to say, where are we stopping?
I think, if I remember rightly,
yeah, it was a little tree trunk.
Tree trunk, that's it.
Tree
And
trunk.
you remembered it. I think we last came down on this walk about 3 years ago, but there is a tree trunk down here that will provide. Yes, yeah. Not today. Provide us with a good resting point for this walk. Well, the intervening 3 years have not been kind to this tree stump or branch that we've used in the past to sit on and have a cup of tea, so I don't think we'll be doing that today. He's found some water somewhere. Yeah. Where did you do that?
Bye.
Always manages to find water, this dog.
Thank you. Gentles. Good girl. Gentle, calm down. That was not gentle.
Did you feel teeth?
Yep, always tea for that one. Here's the water. You're so nice. You're a good girl. That's it. Fussy little girl.
And now
Our turn.
for our turn.
See what we'll do. Controversial, but I'm going to do milk first because we forgot the spoons today.
Wouldn't normally be in that order.
Oh. Cheers then.
Cheers. Where have you been, Rosie? That's unusual. There's a dog that never normally goes in the water, and one that's always in the water. Where's he gone? I think this is on the maps. This is the Mears Dyke. Clive. Clive. Come on. This way. Are we stuck? I ain't going down there.
Good boy.
Oh, he's found his way. Come on. Come from, you've already had an aerial shot of that, hopefully. So coming round to what is the site of the, or the former site of the abbey. Not much left now. Just a few earthworks and marks in the land. But who would have believed that this was once the site of a very important part of English religious heritage? Just before the end of the walk then, let's have a quick look at a map to see where we are, should you want to do this walk. So let's zoom out a little bit. This is the A52 from Grantham to Boston, or on to Skegness eventually, but this is Billingborough, the B1177 through Billingborough, through the tiny hamlet of Sempringham, and through into Poynton. This is where we parked up. So we parked up in West Street, and we picked up the footpath here, and we walked up to the Gwenllian Memorial and the church, and then we continued upwards towards Birthorpe, and you can see Birthorpe is only a tiny little hamlet up there, and we walked down this road here, and then down this lane here where we had a cup of tea around about here, and into this field here. Now, it's this field here that we've got the second part of the drone footage, and I think that square there is probably the remains of the manor house that was built on the priory from the wreckage of the priory back in Edward VIII's day. So two ways you can go here. You can either continue going down this path here to bring you out on West Street, or as we did this time, a footpath here that takes you back to your original footpath and then back down into the village from there. So what happened to Sempringham Priory? Henry VIII is what happened to Sempringham Priory, and of course the Reformation. So Sempringham Priory, although it was an independent monastic setup, a St Gilbertine order, was of course Catholic, and of course Henry VIII did away with the Catholic Church, and much of what the Catholic Church was built on, much of the fine buildings and architecture during the Reformation was lost, and one of those things was of course Sempringham Abbey. So Henry VIII sold the land and the abbey to a local family, or a family called the Clintons. Nope, nothing to do with them, and essentially they stripped it and used it as a sort of a ready-made quarry. Took all the building materials and all the fine wood and stone, all the works of art, and basically built their own manor here, which they then lived and farmed the local land. And still today, apparently, evidently, you can see a lot of the old building materials used in the abbey in local barns and buildings of that ilk that were repurposed from the ruins of the abbey. And that was it, or that should be the end of the story. But in the 1600s, the manor here, or the area here, became quite well known in the Puritan movement, so the Protestant Puritan movement. And of course it was them that became the forefathers of the United States of America. And one of those people that left was a gentleman by the name of Samuel Skelton, who moved to Salmon in Massachusetts, I believe that is, and formed a part of the sort of Puritan movement that was in the formation of the early part of what we now know as the United States. And he had a daughter, and his daughter was a lady by the name of Anne Bradstreet, who is a famous, or said to be, the first American poet. So there we go. So we've had a right link up there, haven't we, between a purely English monastic order, a Welsh princess, and the birth of American poetry, all in one small walk around a quiet, sleepy part of Lincolnshire. Outro on an iPhone. DJI Pocket ran out of charge. I didn't get the power bank plugged in quick enough. We wanted to do this walk for a couple of years. Did have a go at it a couple of years ago, but schoolboy error, forgot to press record on the drone. So hopefully this time we've got some decent drone footage. But we hope that you've enjoyed this walk. Lovely little walk on Bank Holiday Monday, and
we've done about 5.5k,
3.5 miles, something like that. Yeah, so a bit of exercise as well.
We have earned ourselves a nice cream tea at home.
Oh yeah, so see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.